Um, let's go back to financial statement analysis. So now we just need to look at the shares outstanding. I'm going to save the file as a primary ticker, but I should probably just save it as Sony. Confuse anybody. Remember, you can download all my models on GitHub. So make it easy for you guys to follow my work. Welcome back, viewers who are distracted by my cat. I'm sorry. Sometimes I show the cat. She was crying for food, so I had to interrupt our financial statements for that. Okay, having a cat's kind of like having a kid. You know, it's not as important, but they still, you know, they need their food. You know, you're responsible for their little life. And maybe the cat never grows up and can take care of itself, though. All right, so I'm looking for the shares outstanding. It looks like it's 880 million, but I want to see the specific shares outstanding column somewhere. You know, these Japanese stocks are a little bit different from American. And in fact, this is a little bit different from most Japanese stocks. I've looked at Japanese stocks my whole life. Well, here are the shares outstanding. Okay. So it's a little different than I thought, actually. 1.238 billion, it looks like. So the market cap in yen is 14 trillion, which is about 120 billion, right? And the market cap in dollars is 108 billion, 109 billion. Okay, so I got my conversion a little off, but 109 billion. We'll look at the balance sheet as well. What's a BGN? Does anyone know what that is? BGN currency. A Bulgarian lev. Well, thanks, Angel, for the Bulgarian levs. Yeah, I mean, math degree is always a good degree. Teaches you logic. It's a lot more intelligent than a finance degree. But, you know, a finance degree doesn't hurt, or a business degree in general. Number crunching. Oh, that's great. That's cute. All right, cool. Let's take a look at this model. So, just trying to see if we can glean anything off the bat, but let me take a look. I would study computer science at college. But it all depends on what you like, you know? It's not about, you can make money doing anything. All right, so I also trying to figure out their fiscal. I agree. Do what intrinsically motivates you. Alright, let me move this over here. It's been a quiet year for me. I'm mostly focused on my startups. Well, my startup, I guess. Our Sony margins are actually pretty good. We're going to look into their split of businesses. There's financial services. Okay, so margins aren't that good because I'm going to include financial service expenses in COGS. Okay, that makes more sense. I was kind of surprised at how good the margins were. But they don't really have an R&D line, which is pretty impressive. So if you don't have an R&D line, that's a nice business. Koifin sucks. Koifin's just a terrible product. Doesn't have any news. Literally, doesn't have news. What's going on with my display? You can't put a quote monitor up. It doesn't do bonds. I mean, it's just... Koifin's terrible. Kitten is taken 5 minutes away. No big deal. I don't even pay attention to this little stupid idiot. Oh, she's starving. That's why she was crying so much, I guess. Putting numbers in the wrong columns again? I do that sometimes. Looks like I did that. Error. Bit of a difference there. About 10% margin over at Sony. That's not very good. Doesn't mean it's good for the stock or bad for the stock. I'm just talking about good for the business. Make sure you understand the difference there. Huge difference. Just because something is good for the business doesn't mean it changes the stock price. FinViz is good for like one specific module. It's like a poor man's equivalent of like one piece of a Bloomberg. That being stock screening, obviously. So, to me, I mean, a lot of these tools are just really incomplete. Like whale wisdom, it's like does one specific like function of a Bloomberg. Isn't that sad? Like, then you got to go to a totally different website for SEC filings. But if you don't want to use Bloomberg for ideological reasons, which I can understand, to be honest, or it's too expensive for you, which I also can understand, there's not a great solution, which is why we made Godel, or why we're making it. It's still not quite done yet. Oh, there's my food. Give me half a second. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think Kelvin's right about some of these things. You know, SEC filings are all you need. But if you do want to look up news, if you're an active trader, sometimes looking up news and looking at stock prices and quickly being able to summon all the information you want, there is something, you know, to be said for doing that. I don't think that's a bad thing. That's why most professional investors do use Bloomberg for that, so I don't think it's that bad. It's just very expensive, and you can't often log on because it's just such a difficult to use piece of software, and it's so old. So it also doesn't have any good quant features. The pricing relationship and contract is really annoying. It's not a problem if you work in a big hedge fund or something, but if you're a one-man shop or you're running a small fund or something like that, it's really cumbersome. Like if you go from needing 5 Bloombergs to 4, they don't let you just downsize to 4. It's really funny. Reuters is a good product too, for sure. I agree, TradingView is a great product. TradingView is a great product for charts. They have best-in-class charts. And we're going to try to give them a run for their money, but there's no doubt that they have a very, very good chart product. The problem is that's really all they have, right? So I know that, you know, they're trying to do other things, but that's really it. I'm not going to go to Berkshire. I think the people who go to Berkshire are kind of groupies. I know a lot about Berkshire Hathaway, but I don't need to go to their meetings. If you have 4 employees, you need 4 Bloomberg terminals, and let's say you fire one of those employees because he recommended GameStop to you, then you have 3 employees, and you have 4 Bloombergs, unfortunately. You can't downsize. They don't let you stop using the 4 Bloombergs. They once came to me and they were like, yeah, you can't downsize. And I was like, what the fuck? I literally need less of these. And they're like, sorry. And I'm like, what am I going to do? They're like, can you give the assistant to Bloomberg? I was like, no, I can't give the assistant to Bloomberg. Yeah, I take the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway position, yes. Yeah, no 4 terminals per person, yeah. I'm not too big into DeFi. I think it's a little bit silly, to be frank. All right, let's take a look here. We have customers, whatever that is. You gotta love Japan. Oh no, okay, game and network. Okay, game and network. So this is PlayStation. I have to use my other keyboard, my modeling keyboard, not my typing keyboard. Oh, it's unplugged. Shit. Okay, never mind. That will not be being used. My keyboard doesn't have a number pad. Yeah, ChatGPT could be used to make money. I'm making money with it right now. All right, so music is now a fairly small business for Sony. Pictures, in other words, film, also fairly small business. So it's games and I guess what they're calling entertainment technology and services. I'm guessing those are appliances? Or like televisions and things like that? Not appliances, but TV. Imaging and sensing. I don't know what products go in what space, I guess, is the issue. And then we have financial. Okay. I'm not a member of VIC, but I've heard it's pretty good. If I were running like a fund or something, I'd probably be a member, but it's not my jam. I'm eating a cup of fruit. All right, so music, recorded music, entertainment. There it is. Televisions, audio and video, still and video cameras, and mobile. Okay, so I'm gonna break that out a bit here. TVs, audio, video, cameras, and mobile is, I'm guessing they sell phones. And then they have other. Maybe appliances, I don't know. But yeah, TV's a small business for them. 250 billion yen. So what's that? 2 billion. Is that 2 billion USD? Yeah, I guess so. Per quarter, that's not that small. How many hours do I read a day on average? All day. Now, you're talking about reading books? I don't value technical analysis, no, but I'm not saying that you shouldn't or should or shouldn't. I mean, technically, I generally don't think it's useful, but if it works for you, it works for you, you know? Who am I to tell you otherwise, you know? All right, so we're looking at their balance sheet now in yen. So it looks like they have about $1 trillion JPY. In cash. Maybe 1.6 trillion. Let's look at some debt. Oh, they have some debt. I would not put all my life savings in Tesla. Or Amazon. Don't put all your life savings in anything. You know, the human compulsion to bet it all is something you have to fight. I've had to learn to fight it myself over the years. It's irrational, it's crazy. And don't bet it all, you know? It's just a simple rule, one simple rule. Well, you can concentrate, but that doesn't mean betting at all. You know, nothing wrong with concentrating. 20% position, something like that. But you want to bet at all on something you can't control. Now, if you control the company, you own the company, that's a little bit different. Then you can diversify within the company. And then if you're buying a company that's very diversified, like Berkshire, then maybe you can think about, well, I'm not buying, you know, well, you know, once in a while you can make a tactical bet, Marcelic, but you have to you know, be willing to lose it all, which is very risky. So sometimes traders do it, but it's very, very risky. Soros gets out of trades all the time. He doesn't just double down all the time. He did that once. Don't confuse that for something they do every day over there. I know a lot of people that have worked for Soros over the years. That's not how it works. You can get fired for doing that pretty quickly. All right, so let's see. I'm kind of going to try to do the balance sheet excluding the financial services. That's probably the better move here. I do count cards. I'm banned from most Atlantic City casinos for counting cards. It's very easy. It's almost hard not to count cards. It's that easy. So, you know, I would just look at the cards and you can tell what's going to happen. I mean, it's within a stochastic, you know, obviously a stochastic limit. But they obviously don't like that very much. They use eight decks. They have a shuffling machine, all that stuff. No, they intimidated me. They send a bunch of guys to sit around the table with you and make you very uncomfortable. They don't take you into the back room unless you cheat or take a bunch of money from them or something like that. I was barely up, maybe a couple $100 before they started going in on me. Said, you know what, that's fine, I'll play poker. Alright, so they basically don't have any net cash if you look at the balance sheet excluding the financial services, which again, I'll do a deeper dive in the financial services some other day. But at least for this quarter, the holiday quarter, let's get the exact yen. Exact yen number. It's 136. Okay, so 25 billion in revenue for the holiday quarter. So probably a little under 100 billion in revenue for the annual for the whole company. You can see margins are around 10%. It's hard because they probably have a big holiday quarter. I develop my stuff myself and I outsource. Here's 9-month consolidated cash flows. Okay. Unfortunately, okay, hold on. Unfortunately, it seems to be negative, which seems strange. It's very volatile as well. This is a, like I said, a fairly confusing company to get a good sense of. My dating life was less exciting before making a lot of money. I will admit that. We're looking at Sony. All right, so the forecast is they'll do a little less than 100 billion, like around 90 billion in revenue, and what, 10 billion in operating income, roughly? But net income of, I don't know, about 7. So the market cap is 109. So 109, well, let's look at the yen over yen. It would be 17 times earnings. Shut up, kitty. I will say it's a very confusing financial picture. Games are only 36% of the company. Constant currency base is very important, yes. All right, I'll save this. Let's look at the prior quarter if we can. All right, at least they made this a little bit easy. Can I hide this panel? Huh. All right, let's take a look at, this is the September quarter. So this was fiscal Q2 23. This is fiscal Q3 23. We're in fiscal Q4 23. These are the Japanese fiscal quarters. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. Actually, I do. I wish a lot of things on my worst enemies, but that's another story for another day. All right, let's take a look. Okay. That's helpful. I should look at Ford. You know, they have receivables, I'm sorry, they have payables on financials, so sometimes keep that in mind. They have a finance business too, Ford. All right, gross margin 26%. Like high 20s, low 30s. It's interesting that you look at this like big conglomerate, right? 100 billion in revenue. They do games, music, movies, televisions, all kinds of crap. And the gross margin's around 30 cents. So it costs them about 70 cents for every dollar of product they sell. Pretty interesting. I should do the CFA. I don't think they'd let me. Get some haters. All right, so you can see the games were probably a little bigger than normal in the Q4 period. So, well, maybe not. But certainly for that one quarter, it was 37% of revenue. But for some of these other quarters, it was just more normal, like 27%, pretty consistent actually. Music is lumpy too. I guess it's based on whatever hits they have coming out. Whatever big artist. Although maybe it's not that lumpy, I don't know. We keep filling out the picture. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. Did they do Avatar or was that somebody else? I think it was somebody else. Is Avatar Disney or DreamWorks? I don't know. Isn't it Sony DreamWorks? I'm not going to look at FaZe Clan stock. Too much of a meme, my friend. Looking at real companies only. We've looked at Amazon before. It's a very complex company, actually. Currency is, there's a lot of ways to account for it. But you look at constant currency changes mostly. I don't know, the intelligent investor, just a Mr. Market kind of concept, I guess. Okay, here's the profitability per business. This is really interesting, actually. Despite having a lot less sales, a lot of these other businesses are more profitable than Sony's main quote-unquote games business. So the music business is more profitable. It's actually technically the most profitable business, at least for that quarter. The hardest thing to think about with these bigger companies is just how much are they making investments that are obscuring earnings. That's the most important thing. And some of these companies make a long-term commitment to doing that, and they're artificially depressing their earnings, and you have to think about that. I do meet and greets all the time. Thanks for asking. I haven't done one since I've been out of prison, but I'll do a meet and greet or some kind of public event at some point. Oh, I'm actually going to be doing one on Friday. It's not a meet and greet, so to speak, but I'm going to this Republican event in New York on Friday. What's that, tomorrow? With Lucian Winrich and the people from Red Scare. I'm not afraid of dying alone without children, no. I don't have those kinds of problems. No plans for my birthday. I might repopulate the Earth. I just don't have the time for that. Negative risk-free rate. Is there such a thing? I don't know. If there's deflation, right? Do I want wife and kids? Sure, why not? I'm married to the game, though. You want to see my wife and kids? It's right here. Right here. Why? Because I keep it on me. HP 12C. Keep it on me. Keep it with me at all times. Keep that thing on me. Keep it on my hip just in case. Just in case some cash flows want to get discounted. I need the grippy. The grippy is... No, I know, but if rates are in the negatives, where's inflation? Where's the real equity, risk-free rate? I use Streamlabs. Do your siblings think like you? No, pretty different, I would say. What's so special about the 12C? Reverse Polish notation, motherfuckers. RPN. You. Shoot. All right, we got another quarter in the books. Although I wanted to get separate the TV business out. When I was a kid, the biggest appliance you could have in a middle-class household is a television. So me and my dad were obsessed with TVs and how many inches they were, what kind of color spectrum they had, and all that stuff. Eventually you realize that wasn't the be-all, end-all, but... Is Imaging and Sensing Solutions projectors? Or maybe they make chips? I don't know. Social isolation. I don't have social isolation. What's wrong with you? Why would you think I have social isolation? I live in New York City. All right, let's keep going. We need to do 2 more of these. We're looking at Sony, S-O-N-Y, and it's also mostly trades in Japan. So that's the main Japan stock ticker, which is 6758. All right, almost there. 2 more of these. Yeah, let me do the Sony, man. Tesla Tesla's a great company. I don't know about great stock. It's a good stock. Probably not a great stock, though. All right, we still haven't even started our Sony analysis. We're just kind of glancing at the income statement. They've definitely grown in the last year, but that doesn't mean much. They could have shrunk every year before that, right? I'm also giving a speech, or what do they call it, a talk these days? Giving a talk next week at a venture capital auditorium, small conference about decentralized science. Small event, intimate. So you're also welcome to come to that in New York City. I think it's $5 entry fee. Maybe I should post an ad or something. A flyer. Okay. I don't think Novo's overpriced. The Madoff scheme was a very sad thing. What's up, WSB verse? Does money make me happy? No. Why would money make me happy? What a weird question. Oh shit, the legend! Living legend. Hey kitty, come on. Come on, my friend wants to see you, kitty. Oh, she's asleep. She's been very lazy lately. Little lazy cat. I created a new software program that I hope will be my biggest one yet. I made it yesterday. We'll see. I have to tell everybody about it when it's ready. It'll be maybe public tonight or tomorrow. We'll see. It's brand new. Only a couple of people know about it. It's not Godel, it's something different. I should probably be working on that right now, but I wanted to say hi to everyone. Got to keep the 12C. You don't have a 12C on you, what are you even doing in my hood? What are you even doing? I'm making a music video of me in the 12C. It's going to be my highly produced YouTube. It's going to get 100 million views. I'm going to do it with all my goon friends from jail. It's going to be like me in a hoodie, a couple of thugged out guys in the street corner, and they're like, "Yo, Shkreli, what are you doing here? Aren't you scared to be around here by yourself without bodyguards?" Like, "Nah, dog, that keeps it on me." And then the other guys can be like, "Ooh." It's like, you keep it on. And then one of the thugs is like, "You keep it on you?" "What do you mean you keep it on me?" I said, "I don't leave home without it. I always keep it on me." And the other guy's like, "Damn." But the one skeptical thug is like, "What exactly are you keeping on you? 9mm or a Glock?" I said, "Nah, son." And I start to take it out, and they're like, "Oh, Shkreli, don't take it out here. There's cameras." I'm like, "Good idea." And it kind of, it kind of looks like a gun, almost. You could kind of confuse it for a gun. A New York City police officer would confuse it for a gun and shoot you. Okay, keep it right here in my breast pocket, like. Got that thing on me. The glizzy. The 12, so it's not a 9mm, it's 12C. Very different. I say, oh, you got the 9mm? Nah, I got the 12C. 12C? Is that some German shit? Get calculated, get discounted. Or you fuck around and get discounted. Calculate the yield to maturity on your ass. That's what one of the smartest guys I met in jail took me aside and he was like, Shkreli, there's just one thing you gotta do. He had a thick Jamaican accent, so I don't want to copy the accent, but he was like, don't become a gangster. I was like, what does that mean? He was like, I see how you're operating around here. You're starting to become like us. Don't do it. You're not one of us. Don't become one of us. Marley was a funny dude, but it's good advice. Speak and spell. Susan. His little kid's toys. You are the average of the 5 dudes you hang around, so exactly. That's the problem. In jail, you have to hang around the gulliest, dirtiest, baddest individuals on the planet today. God damn. Alright, we're almost done here. Sony. The most important one, the fiscal 2021 numbers. This is what we've been waiting for. This is the whole damn year. You ever looked at Sony? We're going to learn quite a bit about their business after looking through this PDF, which I'm uploading to my GitHub. Make sure you join the GitHub, github.com/Martin Shkreli. If you're not on GitHub, welcome to the 21st century. Rivers Cuomo, the singer of Weezer, one of my favorite bands, even he's on GitHub. There are kids on GitHub. So what are you doing if you don't have a GitHub account? Join today. GitHub.com. It's now owned by Microsoft. I played the Glockenspiel. Glockenspiel's gangsta. The accordion and the Glockenspiel and the harpsichord, the 3 least gangster musical instruments. Goddamn Glockenspiel up in this bitch. Get the goddamn Glockenspiel out. What does a Glockenspiel even look like? I gotta check that out. Okay, wait, this is the wrong quarter. Okay. Glockenspiel. Use a GitHub to follow repos. Duh. I'm old. Will they let me on GitHub? Yes, they will. Okay, it's a bell instrument. I didn't know that. It's kind of a keyboard, but it's kind of a xylophone, basically, right? Use tongs to play it. Oh, and if you really want to be in the 21st century, you got to join Hugging Face. You don't have a Hugging Face account, I don't know what you're doing. My Hugging Face account, amazingly, even though my GitHub is Martin Shkreli, somebody took a Hugging Face account of Martin Shkreli. On Hugging Face, I'm real Martin Shkreli. It's kind of sad when the niche machine learning tool has a has stolen your account name. I think Amazon's going to buy Hugging Face pretty soon. All right, let's see here, some fancy work. Kitty, wake up, Kitty. I'm gonna wake you up, Kitty. She's so sad. She's so small. She's small. S-M-O-L, small. Why are you so small, Kitty? I hope she has a good dream right now. It looks like the March quarter is the least profitable, but I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Yeah, okay, that's right. Taxes. Didn't know corporations pay taxes. All right. This looks like on average they've had, yeah, I mean it sounds like it's somewhere between 10 and 17 times earnings, which is pretty big delta. Oh, this is expense, okay. So I guess PS5 came out, is that what happened here? Okay, interesting. Here's cash flow statement. So, okay, this is great. This is really helpful. So cash flow from operations for the full year, it looks so different for the quarter, but this reconciles everything pretty nicely actually. And it looks like cash flow and net income are not wildly different, which they look like, unfortunately, they looked like they were quite different before. So this is basically means the company makes 1.1 trillion, made 1.1 trillion in cash in 2021, and made 1.2 trillion in cash in 2022. Now the market cap is, and that's in yen, right? So the market cap is about 15 trillion. So would you pay 15 trillion to get 1.2 trillion a year, possibly a growing 1.2 trillion a year? That seems pretty good, but is that free cash flow or not? We got to look at CapEx. Let's see. They do have some CapEx, so that changes the game a bit. So let's calculate what the CapEx is. Property for PP&E and other intangibles. I want to see what exactly is in there, but it's quite a bit actually. So that's decreases free cash flow quite a lot. So now we're talking about, instead of 1.1 and 1.2 trillion, we're talking about 700 and 800 billion. So would you pay 15 trillion for 800 billion a year? That ratio is 19 times roughly. It certainly depends on if that's growing or not, right? So WT81, you can follow my account and you can star my repos. And if you star my repos, you'll get updates on them, and you can follow the repos. Anyway, it's Martin Shkreli is my GitHub. So the music and pictures business is not necessarily a growth business, but okay, let's look at the income for those businesses. Okay, well, this is just revenue. Let's drop that down too. All right, 2656.278.2739.763. This is the gaming revenue. So this is probably, it's about 30% of revenue. But it's probably going to be a bit bigger for the next. Say it's 100 or something. Sure. Okay, got it. That makes more sense. Yeah, it's around 30% of revenue, no matter how you slice it. Music did grow. Some people really like the music business. I don't know much about it. Film grew, obviously, due to the COVID rebound. I think their electronics business is actually kind of the sleeper. It's a very large business. It's almost as big as games. Probably not as profitable, but imaging. I still want to understand what exactly is in that imaging business too. All right, so those are the segments. They all grew, and I think they're all growing. Now let's look at this. This is really key. This is the income per business. I wish more conglomerates would do this. I wish Amazon would do this. This is the secret sauce behind Amazon, right, is that you don't know what their actual retail business margins are. And I think they've been hiding and lying about their quote-unquote unprofitable retail business. I think it's quite profitable. They just invest a lot of money in things like Alexa and stuff like that that is not profitable. I certainly, if I were them, I wouldn't want Walmart to know what my margins were on retail. But when you hire people from Amazon and you interview people, you get to figure it out anyway. So, but also Wall Streeters may not get to know. All right, so really interesting mix here. All of the businesses are profitable. That's like some Japanese shit. You don't see that in America. Like every business is profitable. Sony's like always been like, I don't know, has it always been like some, I think it was a fairly well-run company, then it got a reputation for not being so well-run, and then now it's back. I think Dan Loeb attacked them briefly. The games margin is less than you would think. The games margin is not that different from the music. Well, the music margin's actually highest. Let's do the percentage. Games up margin, music up margin, pictures up margin, entertainment up margin, imaging up margin, financial up margin. Op is operating. All right, so games is only, and that's tiny, 13% margin. Music, pictures, entertainment is the lowest, which makes sense because they're commodity, not commodity, but they're consumer electronics is televisions, right? Can't be that profitable. Imaging, which is still like the one mystery unit, I don't know what they do. Margins are actually more in the middle of the pack. And financial is low margin. Okay, so the highest margin business is music and pictures. Games, imaging, and financial is more in the middle, or games and imaging, and then entertainment and financial are low. But it's amazing that all the margin profile is kind of relatively similar. There isn't one business that's like 50% margin and the other that's like negative 10. That's kind of neat. Seems like an okay stock, you know, neither here nor there. You know, I wonder what the business looks like in bad years when this PS5 cycle is not going their way. So that's kind of the next step for me, is to look at the annuals going back several years. And also mark down kind of like what are the release dates and stuff like that for PS5, and I'm assuming there'll be a PS6 someday, although I know these consoles cycles are kind of stretching out a little bit, and they're hitting different, as the kids say these days. Hits different. Oh, I uninstalled all my video games, by the way. I uninstalled Rust and League of Legends, so you won't be seeing any gaming content from me anymore. And I think you should do the same thing. You should delete all the video games on your computer right now. Why be a customer when you can be a hustler? Is there a better way to put it? Fortnite? I still have Fortnite up. I'm not gonna lie, I still have Fortnite. And whatever that little penguin does. That's my little penguin sleeping over there, by the way. That's my kitty. It's my little penguin. Okay. Ooh. Game of life, motherfucker. Aha, more cash flow. I don't like it when cash flow from year to year is different, but one year they say it's this, the next year they say it's that. Not good. Anyway, I think they divested the business and reconciled it that way, but it's interesting. They had cash flow of 900 billion yen, so it actually was closer to like 15 times earnings a couple of years ago. So maybe they'll have cash flow of over 1 trillion yen this time around. I know they're guiding to something closer to that. That's kind of an interesting perspective. Looks like a games here. Definitely you can see the impact of the launch of PS5. Pictures, 854. Here's the operating income for this year. Wow, imaging and sensing. Yeah, so games is really not that profitable, whether it's a launch year or not. Just more revenue in the launch year. It's really interesting. You would think the games business would be really, really profitable in the PS5 console cycle or whatever, the new console cycle. It doesn't look like it. Let's get one more year. Okay, so here you saw that was a down year, interestingly. Okay, 45.098. Cool, I think that's good enough. So that was down 5% year over year. Interesting. Very interesting. Cash flow, again, cash flow from operations, steady over $1 trillion. They do have big CapEx commitments, but wow. So, I don't know, it's like very consistent company. Obviously, with a large cap stock, that's what you get. It's like almost like a bond. Really reliable. You can see game revenue declined in 2020 because they had to do the transition from PS4 to PS5. And you can see we're going to have like record revenue for games. But I'm not sure we're going to have record profit. We'll see. So far, the profit cash flow for this year has been kind of elusive. But it could be like the fat years of 24 and 25 could be the fatter years of profit. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like the gaming business gets more profitable towards maybe the later part of the cycle, but I'm just guessing. Look at the game's margin though, it's like fucking 13, 12, 13, 13, it doesn't move. That's all throughout cycle changes. You know, PS4, PS5, it's still 13%. I assume they have a plan to get that up higher, but look at the music margin in this year, 2019, 30%. I wonder what that's from. Maybe they got some big artist, some big hit. Interesting how low the pictures margin was, but maybe that was COVID, but like 2019 should have been no COVID. It looks like they've improved margins across the board throughout the company, which is pretty impressive. But cash flows hasn't changed, so maybe that's all just accounting gobbledygook. One more year? Why not? Supposed to be a franchise player. You're talking about practice. Practice? Practice. Talk about practice? Practice. Looks like 2018 was remarkably similar to 2019. Actually, it was a little less profitable. But other than that, remarkably similar. Which is a big thing. Let's take a look at cash flow, though. Again, this company is just very tricky from an accounting perspective. All right, cash flow is very different. Okay, so cash flow is like almost like a metronome. 1.2 trillion, 1.3 trillion, 1.1 trillion, 1.2 trillion. Just doesn't change. That's not a bad thing. Looks like CapEx though is like really small. They used to be really profitable. It's just so strange. We see margins go up on the net income side, but cash flow kind of flattened down. Very unusual. Bigger CapEx footprint. But you can see they clearly have earnings potential of 1 trillion yen a year. Cash flow potential, I should say. Which on the current market cap of 15 trillion is, it's pretty good for a slow grower, but so the average growth is say 5%, so earnings should grow say 7% with a little leverage. So 7%. If you told me you could buy a bond that grows its coupon 7% a year for 15 times, I'd buy it. But I wouldn't write home to mama about it. It's nice stock, but not something you jump for joy about. We jump for joy about Trashy and Nibbles, right? We're gonna call her Nibbles, I think. Trying the name out, seasoning it. Nibbles. Nibbles. Come here, Nibbles. Okay, looks like they had a bit of a different. Oh yeah, they're semiconductors. That's probably what. That's what I figured it was. They used to call it semiconductors, now they call it imaging. So they probably make chips for like televisions and projectors and things like that. I think they got out of the laptop business, right? Could be wrong. Pretty sure they got out. Looks like they sold one of their businesses here. It could have been laptops or phones, or maybe it just declined rapidly. Either way. And now let's look at profit. Oh look, so games was not very profitable at all in 2018, and that I think was mid to late cycle for PS4. But it looks like 2018 was just kind of a bad year in general. For them, of course. Yeah, it looks like music is like their best division from a profitability perspective, and arguably music doesn't quite give games a run for its money, but pound for pound it certainly does. And then music plus imaging is actually bigger than games in terms of profit. So games as a percentage of profit is, say, it's about the same as, honestly, revenue. So I don't know, verdict on Sony is it's okay, I guess. Not something to write home about, but could be an okay stock if it gets cheaper, or certainly worth paying attention to given their status in the ecosystem of several different spheres of influence.